Well, sometimes I honestly can't make these things up. I could not believe some of the comments I've gotten, and now a few of the messages I've gotten from people who actually believe, after the announcement was made and confirmed by Dodge, that the Daytona RT is now going to be discontinued for 2026, that you called it, everybody, that there are people out there now that absolutely believe that this thing is going to be a collector's item. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. This is just three comments. I couldn't find the others, but there are others in the last 3 videos I've done now where we've talked about this, where it's been part of the conversation, that these people believe this. Now, I honestly know, that our world's upside down right now. That good is bad, bad is good, right is left, left is right. Nothing makes any sense. The whole world's crazy, and it is what it is. And you know what? My dad used to say the same thing about the world compared to the world he grew up in and everything else. So I maybe it's just me being a Gen X guy that is, longing for common sense. But it feels like no matter how many videos I do or how much proof I show, that there's always just people out there that just can't help themselves. Now, I would also highly recommend you go watch Uncle Tony Garage's recent video on this topic, because it was hilarious. I found myself just smiling and chuckling through the entire thing to watch this man, this car lover, this knowledgeable engine wrenching type guy that commenting on this. And one of the comments he said was he believes that and I thought this was perfect, that the Dodge Charger Daytona EV is an IQ test, meaning you can literally go into and I even commented just acknowledging that this was brilliant. You can go into the Facebook forums and read horrible experience after horrible experience after horrible experience. And then the very next comment, right next to these comments are, does anybody know where I can get one of these at a good deal? I really want to buy one. I really want to lease one. That the IQ test is, in the face of a tornado level, massive freaking nightmare, they run right into it. They know it's there. They know it's a problem. They still do it. And that leads to these comments here where one guy says it actually may make them somewhat collectible. And I'm hoping that little face is him being facetious. I really hope. So this one is, you are dead wrong. The RT gonna be a collector item one day, worth at least $100,000. That dude sounds like he really believes that. That one seems serious, not joking around. The next one was, buy one of these now. They will be worth a fortune in the future. Now, if you are one of the people that wrote this and this was not meant to be serious, go and edit your comment, because someone who you're applying for a job with one day might see this and think that you are not smart enough to operate the fry machine, because there's no freaking way that you believe that this is the case. But the other comments, the other messages that I've gotten, and other things I've seen spread online were people comparing this thing to this, to the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Now, I know that's utterly insane that they are comparing the Dodge Charger, the Dodge Charger RT. So they're comparing this for $550,000 to this abomination. This is hilarious. They believe that this is a good comparison to this based on the historical nature, because just like what happened in 1970 or 71, the thing was killed off. So here's the article where the RT is killed off for 2026, meaning they're going to sell whatever they've got in their existing inventory and not bring that thing back for 2026. I would also acknowledge and assume they're likely not making any more. They're just not going to be making more to ship to dealerships. So whatever's in the inventory now is going to probably get exhausted. That would be my assumption, which I think would make a lot of sense. But let's look at why. This is what they are saying online, and I swear I can't make this stuff up. This is insanity. That the Superbird, since it was brought out, it was a NASCAR reasoning behind this, and it was banned. And the whole story behind this was it was banned because it was too fast. That this car was ultimately canceled, and what they like to say is it was canceled because it was too fast, emissions and insurance, safety concerns, etc. But if we look back at how many of these things actually sold, which I believe is right here, the limited production run was 1,935 of these things. So that was it, 1,935, built in 1970 at limited availability. Well, that is what's happening here, and it was canceled, and here's the story behind it, which sounds familiar, right? People didn't want the Superbird. Dealerships couldn't even move the few allocations they had, let alone be worried that they could get more. Even in the 70s, the Superbird cost $4,000, and that was a lot of money for a car that you could only use for dedicated sport driving. So you can almost say that most of this would apply directly to the RT abomination because it doesn't have a lot of good purpose. What muscle car person says, man, I've just been waiting for that to be in an electric powertrain? No muscle car person thought that either. So is it faster, even the RT, than a lot of gas cars? Absolutely. But it's overall doesn't have a purpose in the world. Neither does the Scat Pack. And I would say both of these things should probably go the way of the Dodo Bird.
So, it's no wonder many believed that the Dodo's foolishness might have played a role in their extinction.
But it doesn't matter. In the end, this is the decision they made. This is a Scat Pack actually, but RT looks the same, minus I think some brakes and stuff. But actually, this says it's an RT, and they're advertising with RT with Scat Pack pictures. Well, whatever. Nonetheless, here is why they're saying this. Well, if you just now wait, well, let's go ahead and look. We're looking at 54 years. Now, it's been quite a few years these things were worth lots of money, and I've seen them upwards of $1 million. But here's one that was sold, I believe. Now, maybe it's still available, but it's $550,000 because it was one of under 2,000 that were ever sold, and people didn't want it. It wasn't a big seller. Dealerships couldn't get rid of them, and Plymouth decided to pull the plug on the thing. So these folks think that, well, it sounds very familiar, and since it'll be such a limited run, that there will not be any more of these ever made, that these could be the new last call cars that actually will be collector's cars. I joked about this in my last video. I literally joked about this. I literally was being funny when I said, okay, watch the dealers try to tell people these things are going to be collector's items now. Come get yours before it's gone. I don't even think the dealers believe that. I don't even think the dealers believe that this thing is a collector's item. But leave it to some of you out there and those online that immediately go into that place. I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow or maybe even later today where I share what happened to the Hellcat Durango people, how they got creamed. And I can tell you right now, you don't want to be in that position. But if you think that if you can buy one and sit on it and make a bunch of money and make it a collector's item, keep in mind, keep it in perfect condition. Hope that battery doesn't explode over the next 54 years. And then maybe, because it will be one of the few, that you might be able to sell it for a whole bunch of money. But I don't know about you all. I don't got 54 years to tie up $50,000 in hopes that that thing becomes some iconic Superbird style $550,000 beast. And let's just say it's 40 years. I don't know how many of you have 30 years. You can pretty much put $50 or $55,000 in almost anything, any other investment that's had any kind of success, a mutual fund or something, and you will be significantly better off in 30 years or 40 years. And if you think that that thing has a chance of appreciating in value 2, 3, 4 years from now, like the demon folks were hoping for, and they're finding out right now that that is not the case, then yes, you need a balloon and a cupcake, like Tony's Garage said, because these things are not going to be like the traditional gas cars that 50 years from now you get a guy with some tools and some solvents and brings back a car that's been down for 75 years. I'll put a link in the description of a channel I am addicted to where this guy goes and revives old Model Ts and just 70, 80-year-old cars, 100-year-old cars have been sitting in fields, and he gets them running again. That ain't going to be the case with these EVs. As a matter of fact, some of that technology won't even be around, and a lot of the software issues, because once they discontinue these things completely, at some point you will have zero support, zero software support, and these things simply will not work with charging stations or anything in the long-term future, that it will just be, it'll be a pretty brick. But maybe you can get one for cheap, sit on it for a few years. When you realize you made a bad decision, Hemi swap that sucker, start a YouTube channel, and make all your money back. That's about the only out I think you'll find. So let me know what you think about this, folks. Do you think this will be the next Superbird scenario where people are going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars? It's better than their 401k. It's a great investment. They should buy one now that they're not going to make them anymore and jump in and be able to say, I was there when this happened and I got one of those things, put it in my garage. Golly, I would love to hear your comments. Love to hear your thoughts. So please like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.